Well, she was introduced to many of us on Drag Race UK Season 2, but it is what she has been doing after her time on the show that is getting people going ooh and ah, from fashion to music to everything in between. Her name is Bimini. Hey.
Hello, babes. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm ready to expose myself.
Ooh, I'm so ready for you to expose yourself. I'm so glad that you're here. You said it's your first time in LA.
First time in LA. I've flown through LA, but it's the first time I'm actually staying here. And both times I've come through it, it's been cloudy. So loving it. I'm bringing that British weather.
You are bringing the British weather. You know what? It was sunny until you got here yesterday.
I know. Everyone said it. Everyone said it. I was meant to, people trying to get me out last night to hot dogs. So I was like, talking about it to people, and some of my friends are here, which is weird. And then I didn't realize I knew so many people in LA that all hitting me up like, let's go out. I'm like, I'm here to work. I'm trying to be good, but maybe.
Well, before we get into this interview, I do want to know from you, have you officially dropped the Bon Boulash?
So I feel like I had a bit of an identity crisis, and I feel like I was going through this thing mentally of figuring out who I was and what my style was and everything. Because I feel like as an artist, you're always changing, and I feel like I always want to grow. I never feel I want to stay still. I never want to feel stagnant. I always want to keep evolving and growing. And I felt like at a period of time, Bimini Bon Boulash felt like the drag artist, whereas Bimini felt like the artist in me or who I was. So I feel like I kind of was going through a lot of like working in music and working in fashion and writing an EP and working on an album and going through something that I felt like I wasn't really giving to the drag world as such. So I kind of said to myself, Bon Boulash is gone for now, but she's a bad bitch. She might come back. Who knows?
Is that the same with drag though? Are you kind of like putting that on pause?
Do you mean drag as in drag the art or drag race?
Ooh.
Because I feel like there's a weird thing with drag, and there's so many people that kind of monitor or gatekeep what drag should be like and how it should look and what that is. And I've always been very anti that. And drag is about how your expression and coming out, creating art in a way for yourself and for other people for entertainment and however you want to express that is drag in itself. Drag isn't just a male body in a wig, and it's so much more than that, and it evolves. And I feel like if you look at kind of drag throughout history, you see the evolution happening. And who's to say that means it can't? And then when there was obviously the conversations when a lot more female-bodied people started identifying as and doing drag, and people were saying they can't do that. I've always had a bit of a problem with that because I felt like drag is an art form, and drag is about kind of giving an entertainment and giving an art form to people, and no one should be able to tell someone that they can't do that. So that's why I had struggled with the idea of what drag is, and that's why I kind of took a step back from it, because I was figuring out who I was doing. I don't pad, I don't tuck. People know what I've got down between my legs. I'm not trying to hide that. Like when I put on a wig and makeup and put on a look, my end result isn't female impersonation, which is what a lot of people identify drag as. So for me, it was more who I am and what that is. So that's kind of why I took a step back. Whether I do drag now, some people will probably say yes, some people will probably say don't. I don't know. I feel like I love drag and I always will love drag, and drag is why I got to do the things I do today. But when people kind of control what that is, that's what pisses me off, and that's what kind of made me take a step back from it and have a moment to myself to just figure out myself as an artist with it, really.
Well, you have a lot of great music, which we're going to get into in a bit, but let's go ahead and just start with your journey.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. You were born and raised whereabouts in the UK?
So I grew up in Norfolk, which is like, if you look at England and like the United Kingdom, it's like the arse that sticks out the side. It's on the right, so it's like the booty. I grew up there with Scottish, my parents are split up. So basically a Scottish family. My dad was like London, and that side of family London. My mum's side was all Scottish. My grandparents were Scottish. I never got a Scottish accent. I just kind of sounded a bit normal until I moved to London, or sounded a bit more like this, a bit Cockney, a bit London. And I grew up there with incredible family, and I'm very lucky. I always think this today. Like my mum's just texted me then when I was getting it. I'm so lucky to have my mum and someone that was able to support me no matter what I did. Yeah. I was dressing up from like a young age. I used to go to playgroup and I used to have like a rota for everyone of who can wear the princess dress. And I always used to like kind of, I used to gatekeep that. Talking about gatekeeping clothes. But yeah, but she always allowed that. She always allowed me to express that. She pushed me to go into dancing and do acting and perform. So I'm very lucky for that. I know not everyone gets that. But yeah, I grew up in Norfolk. I always call it the arsehole of England.
Well, you were talking about your mom, and I know that when I was looking up and researching you, you have mentioned that your mom's workforce and how hard that she worked kind of inspired the way that you work today.
Absolutely. She told me that no one ain't getting it for you. You got to get it for yourself. And I watched her kind of create this a business. She's a hairdresser, and she started her own hairdressing salon, and then she opened a clothes shop. And I watched her hustle every single day. And I remember I didn't get it at first when I was a kid. I would be at school and I'd get picked up by like my grandparents or like the childminder or someone that wasn't my mum. And I'd see all the other kids getting picked up by their mum. And I'd always say, why can't you pick me up from school? And I never got it until I was a bit older. And then I'm so glad that she did instill that work ethic in me, because I hate not working, and I hate any time when I'm not. And I really, it's something that I've struggled with over the years. It's like switching off when I'm not in that work mode. And I think that's the downside of it. But I'm very lucky that she did that, because I feel like, yeah, no one's going to get it for you. You've got to make your own life and get it for yourself. Unless you marry rich, but then that's a different story. I want to be like Cher, where it's like, I am the rich man, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know that you got a degree in journalism.
I did, yeah.
What did you want to do?
It was a weird one, because I always wanted to perform, but I was academic to a certain extent in school, and I wasn't really pushed in art. I think like there wasn't a lot that I was able to do in high school, and I think when I did art and it was a lot of drawing, I didn't like that. I loved fashion and I loved styling and I loved clothes, but they didn't really have that in my school. So I kind of went down the more academic journalist route, and I started with fashion journalism. So I did a year at London College of Fashion, and then I finished it. It's all part of, so there's the University of Arts, which has got London College of Fashion, Central St Martin's, London College of Communication. I was under that umbrella, and I finished my degree in journalism. So I did a year of fashion and then 2 years of like just kind of broad journalism. But I focused on kind of human rights and social issues and culture and current affairs. And I was really angry, left-wing on Facebook, like proper arguing with people all the time. And I had to take a minute and be like, this is not making me happy, because I'm just like arguing with people. It's making
me frustrated.
Yeah, and it's like an echo chamber on Facebook of people. And I see it happening now, and it's like, you know, it's not really, it's just creating, I think I fed into that hysteria back then. But yeah, I studied journalism, and I wanted to go into that and kind of do kind of social issues and current affairs. But I felt like I also wanted to perform, and I think that's where I've managed to, with my performing and a lot of the things that I talk about, or a lot of things I say on stage or do as part of my performance, I've been able to incorporate all of that in, like the politics in the performance. I remember before Drag Race, I used to have a performance about, so I keep looking at the camera to make sure my nipple's not falling out. I was doing a performance to MILF Money by Fergie.
Okay.
And I came out as a cow, and I was talking about like how cows, basically, for cows to get pregnant, they have to be artificially inseminated, like raped, basically. And then they get pregnant, and then the babies get taken away from them. So I did a performance about that. She's like, where is my baby? And then it goes into MILF Money by Fergie, and I like strip off my clothes into like a bikini and get covered in oat milk. I know, it's like acid. It's like you're on acid. But it was like a funny, because it's like really serious performance, and then I got to like incorporate that politics into it, but in a sexy, funny way. So I tried to always do that, a bit tongue in cheek. It's a British humour thing, I think.
Yeah, performance art.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, you were talking about, you know, your college days, and I was researching, and I found in GQ Style, which you did within the past year, there was a quote in which you said that once you moved to East London and you started studying journalism, you kind of got caught up in bad influences and stuff. And that your influence of choice was GHB, and you got to the point where you were taking that hourly. How did you end up stopping that? Like, what led to the stopping point of realizing?
I'm going to say, when we talk about like kind of drug use or drug misuse, I definitely lost the balance, and I won't lie, over the last couple of years, I've also lost the balance with partying, with a lot of things that happened around me. I'm definitely in a way stronger and better physical and mental place than I was a year ago, even, from a lot of things that happened during, like, after Drag Race, and, like, what happened after Drag Race, and, like, the people around me. But I would say, like, it's all about knowing where you are and what's going on, and keeping that real, and like knowing that in your head. It's a difficult one when it comes to addiction, and I feel like you can easily lose or slip up. And like I said, like I've done that over the last couple of years. I've slipped up with partying and drug misuse again, but I feel like it's knowing who you are inside and staying true to that. Like only you can help yourself get out of a situation if you don't feel ready. And also, like, things can happen. Like, you can't control how people act to you or what goes on. And I definitely feel like I'm, as much as people might not think I am, I'm quite a sensitive person, and I feel like I get quite overwhelmed by situations of people that I felt like I trust, that might like kind of stab me in the back. And I think a lot of the times, especially since after Drag Race, there was something in Madonna's documentary, Truth or Dare, where she says people don't, and obviously, like, I love Madonna, and I'm just me. Madonna's, like, huge. So if it's happened to me, fuck me, couldn't imagine what happened to her. But, like, when you become famous, or people know who you are, they say that you change, but they don't talk about the people that change around you. And I noticed that happened a lot. And I experienced a lot of betrayal. I've been in therapy recently, and it's really helped me navigate that. And I experienced a lot of betrayal. I experienced a lot of people using me, stabbing me in the back. And I lost a lot of people that I thought I never would. And in a dark time in my life, when I felt like I needed people the most, they kind of turn their back on me, because I don't know what it comes down to. And I don't wish them any ill. I don't wish them any bad. At the time, I was really hurt, and I had to take a step back and kind of go through the pain I was feeling. And drugs happened to kind of come back into my life in a negative way, which I'm really sad about that it kind of happened. But again, it's all about a balance. And I feel like escapism is something that a lot of people experience and go through, and no matter how that is. But for anyone that is experiencing that or going through it, know that there is someone you can talk to, or there is a better place you can be in. I've definitely gone through it a couple of times over my life. I feel like I hope that I don't go through it again, but I know you never know what life's going to throw at you. And I feel like you've got to be kind to yourself. And that's something that I wasn't doing. I was overworked. I was exhausted. I was not looking after myself in a good way. And I was in a really dark place. I was in a place where I wanted to give up everything. And I was in a place where I didn't know who I could trust. And I didn't even want to be doing what I was doing. I love performing, and I love putting art out for people. And I love that. But there was a time I just didn't want to do it anymore. I just wanted to pack it all in. And I feel like taking time away, which I've managed to do, taking time for myself, is so important in your healing and your discovery of what you want out of life.
And I think when it comes down to it, it's the people who are around you. Like you just said, the people that are around you that are bringing you up. You need that support force. And I can feel, from you and what you're saying, that kind of led to a downward path.
It did. It wasn't just friends. It was people in positions of power and trust that I thought. I put a lot of my trust into some people, and I can't actually talk about a lot of stuff because I'm like, but these people that I thought I trusted really messed my career about, really put me in a dark place, and I didn't know what to do. I was in a lawsuit with people for 7 months. Like, I went through something that no one knows about publicly while still working and navigating the start of my career. And it all just got too much. I was like, I started partying. I was like, I needed to just, it kind of helped me forget, sadly, what was going on, because I felt like the people that I trusted were ruining my career. And then the people that were close to me kind of turned their back as well when I needed them the most. And it was a really stressful and really dark time. And I went through, I think I like having like, I give a lot of love to people. And when I feel like that's taken away, or if people take advantage of that, I am quite sensitive in that. And like, when it comes to like what publicly people say about me, in terms of like, say people on Instagram, whatever, I don't care about that. But it's when it's people that are close to me that are like talking about me or stabbing me in the back, or like going against my integrity. That's what hurts me the most, because I feel like people just want to bring you down. People want to see someone come up to bring them back down. It's something that we have, it's horrible in human nature, but I feel like, I'm glad I'm in the place I am now, because fuck me, like 6 months, no 6 months, but 9 months ago, like last year, I was like a shell of myself. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was still working. I was still going. And it was like the repercussions of what had happened to me in the first year of my career. Like it was exhausting.
Yeah, well, you did have a lot happen to you after that first year. I know that you had a thing with merchandise.
Yeah.
And people weren't getting what they had ordered and stuff like that. And that's what ended up being sued, right?
There was a lot more than just that,
Yeah.
but that was in a nutshell. There was a lot of like things around that happened, with people that I trusted, and it wasn't just merchandise. There was a lot more to it. But from what I can say now, and like probably I don't know how much I can say, but like that really did affect me, because I was seeing all of this stuff and it was out of my control. I couldn't do anything, and I managed to like we got to a point where like my management I'm with now, who are amazing. They really helped to navigate as much as we could, and there was like a lot of legal stuff and like lawyers, and we managed to get like a number of people's. I don't think everyone got their stuff back or the refunds, but I took the money out of my money I had and gave it back, even though it wasn't the money. It was like money basically I lost out in a way, which I don't care, because at the end of the day, for me, any fan or any person that wants to buy my merchandise, that's amazing, and that warms my heart and makes me feel incredible. But like, it's not about the money for me. It's not about that. So any way I could give the money back or get a refund in a place, even though it was like a weird thing, we did that. I didn't care. It wasn't about that at all. And that's why I've not done any merchandise now, because I've had since that time, I've not sold anything, because again, it's not about the merch for me. It's like not about the money. It's not about putting out like a t-shirt for people to buy. I know people want to support, but I was scorned so badly from that I was just like, it's not worth it.
Yeah, and you want to make the fans happy. You want to be able to appease them. And I mean, you saying that you were taking your own money out to end up refunding them, that's saying a lot about you as an individual as well, and how your relationship is with your fans.
Well, it really hurt me that my fans that I went through that, because that's not what I wanted at all. And like, I feel like there's a lot of stuff that's about to come out, not about me, but about, you might have seen it with other queens online from the UK who have gone through a certain thing with management people.
Yeah.
Well, I'll just say, same kettle, same thing. But I got out early on and went through a thing a few years ago, basically, which it's all happening now. So I think there's a lot of stuff that's about to come out that people will know more. I'm not saying about me, but I'm like talking in general about it.
Would you say that you believe that your management at that time was using you for money?
I don't know if I can say that.
House of Love cocktail.
There we go. It's lovely, that. Yeah. Pomegranate lime vodka.
So you were announced as a contestant on season 2 of RuPaul's Drag Race UK. You were in the bottom on the first week. Did you think that you were going to go home then?
I don't know. Normally when I'm on bottom, I've got more control over what's about to happen. So I was like a bit confused by it. But no, I don't know. I think I probably was meant to go home. I think that's probably how it was like. It was meant to be when it comes down to like. Not saying that Drag Race do, but if there is a certain way that they would like things to go, I do think that I was probably in the bottom, and Joe was, because Joe Black was like a renowned person, and Joe's an incredible performer. And I'd known of Joe for so long before Drag Race. So to go against Joe, I was like, well, obviously I'm going to go home. But no underwear on, 10-inch shoes. Like, I just went for it and performed, because that's what I love to do. And obviously I stayed, which I'm very glad about, but it really did knock my confidence back at that time. I think I was like, obviously Joe had gone, and I was like, what the hell's going on? And then it took a minute to like really get back into the swing. Well, it didn't take a minute, it took 7 months.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to say, because when you came, there was the assumption that Lawrence Chaney was going to win at the first 4 episodes. After that, when you guys came back from the COVID break, which was what, 7 months?
Yeah.
you were full throttle.
Yeah.
You were ready to like knock some bitches out.
I don't know what happened, but like, I think I had a minute to digest it. Sometimes it can take a minute for me. Like, I can have a switch, a light bulb moment. Again, what I was saying about like addiction and things, it's like only you can help yourself in that situation. It applies to that as well. It's like I was like anxious or in my head, and then suddenly you can have a switch moment where you're just like, okay, game on. And that kind of happened for me. And I think everyone talks about the 7-month break, and like it was obviously awful for us, for everyone. The whole world experienced this, like something that we hadn't experienced before in our lifetime, and everything was crazy. And like I came out of the show, and all the work had finished, and nowhere was open. And it was crazy. It was a crazy time, but we were lucky that we were working, I guess. Like a lot of queens, especially in Scotland, they didn't get to do that.
Yeah.
Whereas like, yeah, we were doing stuff online, or like they could have done that, but like we were able to, when stuff opened up in London, to go back to work. So we had that, and I think that kind of got me through the summer, and then went back to the show. Everyone was like, did you change your looks? I didn't. They were the same ones.
Really?
Yeah, the only one I changed was a theme called red carpet, which never actually happened. Like I had a red carpet outfit, and then I changed it because my reveal fucked up in the second episode. So I wanted to like redeem myself, even though it wasn't a reveal. If red carpet happened, I was going to do 90s... it was 90s Marilyn Monroe Marilyn Manson, 90s Marilyn Monroe.
I was like, wait, she was alive?
Marilyn Manson into Rose McGowan, and obviously all of this shit has come out about Marilyn Manson, which I'm very glad that I didn't do, because it was like before all the stuff had come out. But I was going to do the reveal into the outfit, but into Rose McGowan in the 90s. But
you're talking about like the VMA one, right?
Yeah, the VMA. Yeah. So I had his outfit and then her outfit, and I was going to do like the wig and everything, but that was the only one I worked on. That was the only one I changed, and then it didn't even get used. So that's at home somewhere, that outfit, but everything else was the same.
But the confidence was different.
Yeah, I think so. I think I went back in, like I said with the first episode, it threw me off. I went back into the show being like, whatever happens, happens. Mm-hmm. I went back into the show being like, I'm not here in a competition with anyone. I'm here for myself, and I'm competing with myself here. So like anything I do, it so happened that we did the girl group challenge first week, and I love writing and I love performing. So that kind of set me up a bit in a good way. And then the Snatch game, I like writing, and I like being silly and with a character, like studying and analysing someone. And that I found that really fun. So yeah, I felt like I believe in the universe, and I believe in fate, and I believe that like what you put out, you can get back. And I felt like whatever happened in that time, even though I went through some like go ups and downs, it was meant to be that way. Mm-hmm. I was meant to wear that Norwich City look in the first episode, and that was meant to get to the final and wear the outfit. And I think the runways couldn't have gone in a better way for me, to be honest. Because once you start at the bottom, no one's got any expectations, so you can only go up.
You can only go up.
You can only go up. But if you start high and then you fuck up, then, like I said, people like to bring you down if you've gone back up, if you've gone up.
So you're happy with that? You're in the bottom.
Happy. Yeah, I am actually happy. Like I am happy that I did. And a lot of people talk about the Norwich City look, the hometown look, and they have like, yeah, they all get it now a bit more, because it was all about, for me, it was all about like subverting gender and the idea of masculinity. And football in the UK is such a masculine thing. And it was like taking those references of like the mullety with the curl and like the gold tooth, but then hyper feminizing the silhouette and like making it super like leotard and sexy, and then massive shoes, and being a bit like playing into like this idea of like the Nuts and Zoo were like these like female like nude magazines that always had like sportswear and stuff. So it was like playing into that, and it was a very British thing. So people got it afterwards, but I think at the time it wasn't a typical Drag Race thing, because I had no padding on and no tights and a bit of tape on the show, and that tape sold that for about £10.
You sold it?
No. Oh, I probably could have done on Craigslist or something.
Your Snatch game was great, Katie Price.
Thank you.
Did she reach out to you afterwards? Did you guys have any type of conversation?
Yeah, me and Katie, we message now and then. I've got like voice notes from her where I wore her face on a dress recently. Well, it wasn't recently, it was last year, to the Glamour Awards. And she messaged me. She was like, "That's the picture of me, that is." And I was like, "Yeah, it is. You're not wrong." It was like a big picture of her. I love her. Like, she's like the OG glamour girl in the UK. Like, Honestly, Kim Kardashian, she walked so Kim Kardashian could run. Like, I'm not even joking.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, she was like the one, and I feel like she gets a lot of stuff. She gets a lot of hate. She always has, and she's always been able to deal with it well. And I think she's been unlucky in love, and I feel like she goes through it, and I relate to that. And I like her as a person. I think she's like genuine, and I think she's just up for a good time, which is great.
And you're up for a good time.
Always.
Speaking of your time and who you are in your life, you came out on Drag Race as being non-binary. And that was a big and pivotal moment, not only in the show's history, but also I think that was the first time I had seen anybody come out as non-binary. I think that was the first time I actually probably did understand, because you explained it so eloquently. You explained it so well.
Non-binary isn't a new thing. It's just a new term. It's just basically someone that doesn't feel like they are either masculine or feminine. They kind of float between the two. As humans, we're so complex that having a binary to fit everyone into it, whether it's just male or female, just doesn't make sense when there's 7 billion plus people in the world.
Why did you want to do that on the show? Like, was it planned or was it just come out?
It wasn't planned. I'd completely forgot really that me and Ginny had had the conversation. I knew that we had spoken about it, but they call you up if something big is happening. So if something happens to you or something happens to someone on the show, they'll call you to let you know. And the week that it was episode 3, the week of that happening, they called up to let us know that they were going out with that, because they didn't have to. Like, we filmed 2 days, 48 hours. Can I say that? Yeah. We filmed for like non-stop basically, and the show's an hour long. So they didn't have to choose that. So they chose to put that in there, which I'm very glad they did, because I received messages from hundreds of people, even people in their 60s and 70s that said that that's how they identify, but they've never heard the words to say it. And for me, it was crazy, because I was like, this is my experience and how I feel about myself and my identity, and you grow and you constantly change and you constantly kind of experience a lot of different feelings, I think. And I think that's normal. I think that's human. I think we are complex beings, and there's so many of us on the planet that you can't just expect everyone to fit into these two categories of what it is to be male or female. I feel like, especially from a society point of view, it is fluid, because we have created these constructs of what it is to be masculine and feminine. Like, to flow between the two, I feel like it's quite normal. But I think is especially when it's like, I think more so, and I don't know, because I don't know my experience as someone that would be, I guess, stereotypically masculine, that might be female bodied or born in that way. But as someone that was like born with a willy and then is a bit more feminine, femininity is seen as weaker, I feel like, in society. And I feel like that's where there becomes a lot of issues, because then there's a lot of ridicule that people experience. I experienced a lot of humiliation growing up, because I didn't feed into the typical male things. I was really rubbish at football. I'd play football and break my fingers. Like, it wasn't society wasn't created for me to kind of live and flourish. So I think I got to a point where I wanted to have my experience myself, and I got to a place of happiness within who I was by rejecting the idea of what it is to be one or the other. It was more like, I'm just me, and I'm going to do what I want to do. And as long as you're not harming anyone, I always say this, as long as you're not harming anyone, who cares what you do? Like, why is it up to someone else to put their insecurities, their own hatred onto you for wanting to express yourself in a certain way and stay true to that and live authentically? If someone's doing that, it's an issue on them, and they're holding up a mirror about how they feel and what they're experiencing inside. And you've just got to wish them well and move past it and say, I'm still going to be who I want to be. I'm sorry that you experienced that. Like, kind of kill them with kindness.
Mm-hmm. When you came out as non-binary on the show, when in your life did you realize that that is what you identify as? Was there a moment or a pivotal time, or was it just like over time? Like, how did you realize?
Okay, this might be even a controversial thing to say right now, and I don't even... My idea of what non-binary is to me now It's been a couple of years since I spoke about it. It was in 2020 that we did it. So it's 2023 now. I was able to count. I reject the idea of what gender is. And I understand that for a lot of people, and this is a wider conversation, for a lot of people, particularly people that may be trans and transition, the gender, the binary is important for those.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that everyone should reject it, and I'm not saying that isn't valid. It's totally valid because it makes certain people feel secure. It makes people feel safe in who they are, and that's absolutely fine. For me, it hasn't made me feel safe. It's made me feel quite the opposite. It's made me feel like I'm lying to myself. I'm lying to other people. I'm trying to be something I'm not if I fed into those. So now I'm at the point where I kind of reject the idea of gender completely. And I guess in a way that's what non-binary is. But I feel like what non-binary has become now a lot of the time, it's now become a category. It's become a box which people put themselves into, and then they feel like they can't be fluid in it because they have to feed into what they view as non-binary, where it should be the opposite. It should be about freedom. It should be about freedom of expression, freedom of gender, freedom of everything, and just being true to that person inside you. And one day you might feel a different way, and it's all about it's just not restricting yourself. It shouldn't be so rigid. I feel like we create these boxes and they become rigid, and these roles become rigid, and it should just be about moving past that. So I feel like I reject the idea of gender. So whether I'm non-binary or gender non-conforming or gender fluid, all of those terms resonate with who I am and me. I can't remember what you asked me the question, but I feel like I've just
basically you're saying that don't constrict yourself to a box of a label.
Absolutely. Like, don't do it. I feel like, but again, I'm not telling everyone to do that. I'm like, if that's how you want to be. And I also, when it comes to the binary and boxes, if that makes you feel comfortable and that makes you feel safe and secure, then by all means, like, follow that. But just don't be a dickhead to people. Like, you can do what you want. You can fit into the box. You can fit outside the box. Just don't say that your box is better than someone else's or whatever they're experiencing, because we're all humans and we all want to have a lovely human experience. And by creating these boxes or telling people that they can't fit into a certain box, or telling people that who are out of a box that they shouldn't be in a certain box, we're just creating this hysteria, and we're creating these moral panics, and we're creating these arguments within ourselves when actually we should be uplifting each other and supporting each other no matter how we want to be. My experience isn't undermining anyone else's experience if they want to do a certain thing. So we just need to be kind to each other about it. But I guess it's because humans want to feel like they fit in.
Yes.
So they're important for that. But it's also about, like, knowing if you feel comfortable where you are there, don't bring someone else down for how they are being, because then it creates hatred, and hatred breeds hate. And we see what's happening right now in politics and in society, like against trans people, and drag now is being, like, targeted. It's abhorrent to see that, because it's distractions. They're distractive techniques, and they realise that within our own community, if we're arguing within our own community, how are we expecting everyone else to kind of bring us up and allow us to accept everyone? Because they're seeing that we're throwing with stones at each other, so it makes it easier for them to throw stones at us. When we should all be coming together. And I think it's distraction, like I said, it's distraction techniques. With the real focus is the fact that the economy is gone to shit now and everyone's so poor. We're in the UK, we're experiencing a cost of living right now where more people are using food banks than ever before. And we're meant to be one of the great nations, like part of the G7, where there's all of this wealth, but there's extreme poverty as well. And people are using food banks more than ever. Homelessness is up more, like, higher than it's ever been. And then we're all just arguing about people using toilets. Like, it's ridiculous. It's just distracting.
And it makes no sense whatsoever, but it makes sense the way that you just said that, because it is a distraction.
Yeah.
And if we as a society in our LGBTQIA plus community are fighting with each other, then, like you said, they see that as an opportunity.
Totally, and they can do it, and I see they allow people that are part of the community, a certain Jenna who is just a scapegoat for the conservative people as a trans person, they are using that person as someone that they feel like they can do, because then it makes a mockery of our community, because we're all meant to be coming together, but then they've got someone that they can use as a scapegoat to be like, well, this person agrees with us and they are part of your, or meant to be part of your community. And then it just creates the us and them more so than ever, when we should be all coming together and actually looking at the government and the way that the world is run and the people that are running and people in power and institutions in power and corporations that are like the reason that the planet is in the way that it is. But right now we're just throwing stones at each other, and I think it's so wrong.
Well, we're going to take a break, and then Bimini and I are going to come back together and talk about her music and get this pumping.
Yes, let's do it.
We are back. I'm with Bimini, and I'm so excited that you are here and chatting. And let me just tell you, your music video and your song for Rodeo.
I see the guilt behind your eyes each time you go. I realize I'm not the reason for your glow.
I play it all the time.
Oh, amazing.
I think that it is so good. The visuals were amazing. I am so glad that you're getting into music. Like, is that where you want to be now?
Absolutely. I think like it's another outlet that I can express that and put out my story or my narrative or how I'm feeling at that time. And Rodeo was written in October 2021. So it's quite a long time ago. And I've got like my EP is about to come out, and there's a lot of music, and it's about like, a lot of the time it was what I'd been through. It was heartbreak. It was experiences then. But it's about like, I was always keeping that tongue-in-cheekness and that Britishness about it, and that's what Rodeo is. It's that kind of, it's that song. It's about a story that I went through, and then it was like the tongue-in-cheek music video, which was inspired by a song called "Pass It On" by The Knife, and it was like wanted to bring it a bit more modern, and me like riding a giant rodeo bull in like this working men's club in East London. It was just, I just loved it. It was shot by, I just hit this, sorry. It was shot by Camp Productions, Cassandra Powell, who did Taste's music video for Swagzilla. And she actually did my music video for God Save This Queen back when I first came out of the show. So it was amazing to work with Cassandra. She's like an incredibly talented director. And it was just, she brought it to life. She brought the idea and the visuals and everything I had to life. So it was amazing to get to work with her, and also to work with a production company that are queer. Because I've worked with companies in the past that like, they want to be like, kind of supportive, or they want to be like, yeah, we get it, but they don't fully deliver in a certain way, whereas like they were all fully on board. It's just amazing to work with queer talent, and I feel like I kind of always tried to want to just work with queer talent. When it comes to straight people, have had enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, right. We're done.
They've done it all. So, and it's just nice from a queer perspective, because it's the same with like the male gaze in film and TV. It's like more female directors, more producers, like more queer people putting their perspective out. Like, we've seen the perspective of, what is it, like film, it was like 96% of films were directed by men. It's like, so we all, that's a point of view that you're always going to see. It's time to now continuously see more points of view across gender, across sexuality, across everyone. So I like to always be able to work with queer people when it comes to like creating art.
It makes the experience so much better.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
it's fun.
It's a different dynamic and
Yeah.
a different thing than what you're normally used to. How do you come up with music? Like, what's your technique? Or do you write lyrics? Are you like coming up with a beat? Or do you just go into the studio and you're like, what do you have for me?
So yeah, well, a lot of the time I've been making music since a bit before Drag Race, and then and I've not put that much out. But I've probably now, if I look at my catalogue of music, I've probably got like 90 to 100 songs that people haven't heard. So I'm like buzzing to get it all out there. I'm basically like, EP 1 is done, EP 2 is pretty much done, and then album mode. So I'm like writing at the minute for that. So I'll write lyrics, I'll have ideas. I went to Hawaii, which was incredible. I went in January. I just took a break, I went away from everything on my own, spent 2 weeks. And I was like, I used to just sit at night time and look at the summer setting and write, just like ideas or stories or anything that was happening in my head. And then I'd take those into the studio and like either work with songwriters, or if I work on my own, like work with the producer, come up with it, like they'll come up, we'll kind of workshop the idea, the song in the studio, then make it as best as it can be, and then kind of produce the beat on the spot, so like do it from scratch, and that's where a lot of it has come from. But I'm really excited for people to hear more, because I feel like it's been a long time coming, and I've had this music for a while, and I got frustrated last year because I was like, I just want to put it out. I got signed to Sony. Well, I got signed to Relentless, which is Sony Music, and that's why I'm out in LA now, like doing music, which I'm really buzzing for. But I think, again, timing is everything, and everything happens for a reason. And maybe last year when I wanted to put this stuff out, I wasn't in the mental space that I should be in to be doing that, to put my story out into the world or what I've been going through. And I think like I talk about stuff in my music. I've got a song called Sex, Drugs, Disco that talks all about addiction and talks about what I've been through, or talks about like that kind of the darker side of everything. Then I've got a really fun song called I Love It, which is actually about, which will be coming out, not this EP, but coming out very soon, which is actually a repercussion of what's happening politically right now with drag. And one of the lyrics is, call me a freak, like queen of the club, but a freak in the streets. It's like one of the lyrics, and it's called I Love It. And it's about being yourself and about being empowered by that and who you want to be. And so it's very much like, I'm very happy that I get to be creative with that. And I will always talk about my life experience of what I've been going through. So I can talk about heartbreak and try and make that like my experience of how people might view it, might relate to them in that way. Like people talk about Rodeo and be like, was this song written for me? Because that's what I've been through. And like, yeah, I'm just excited for people to hear it. It's another creative outlet that I get to express myself with. And it's something that I've always loved. It's something that I've always wanted to do and never thought I could. So I think like, I'm very lucky that I get to, but I've worked hard for it, and I feel like I want people to see that when they hear the music and the visuals that come with it, and everything is like, yeah, it's what I want, and it's like where my heart is at the minute.
I mean, I could tell from Rodeo. Rodeo was like that was my moment. I was like, there's got to be more. I cannot wait for this. Do you feel when you were writing music, do you keep anything off limits, or are you free to write? Like, do you think that you do well writing?
I think I will. There's a thing that I saw Dolly Parton say recently about holding stuff back for yourself. Like give everything to people, give what you can, but hold things back. So I think maybe to a degree, but I also feel like music is storytelling, and I've never not had a say in what the writing is. Like I've always, everything I do, I've written with people. So I've always, it's my truth. It's my story. I've never had someone just give me a full song and be like, here you go. Because for me, there's something, and I'm not, this is no tea to anyone or no shade to anyone that does do that. But for me, I'm like, how can I sing or how can I perform a song that was written for me about love or about heartbreak? Because it's not my experience. Yeah, it's not my experience. And I think, like, people can, it's about, but like for me, it's like I want to have a say in everything that I do and write, and that's why, yeah, I love doing it, and I'll always, what I've been through or what I go through, I will always try and put into that or put into my art in a certain way.
Do you struggle ever when it comes down to putting something out and audience reception? Like, you're putting out parts of your life, you're putting out, stories of your life. Do you get scared of what the audience will think?
If you live by that logic, I think like you'll never put anything out, because I think you can always be worried about people's perceptions and people's opinions. I don't care about like, if people like it, you can't please everyone, and that's where I've got to now. It's like you can't please everyone. Not everyone is going to like what you do. Not everyone is going to like you, and that's fine. Like I said earlier on, it's for me, it hurts more if it's someone I'm close with. Not to give me constructive criticism, but like if they talk shit about me or whatever, that's what hurts me the most. But if I put stuff out from my art for people to experience and enjoy, that's subjective, and that's something. But when it's a personal thing, that's what upsets me more. So if I put something out and people don't like it, that's fine. Like you can't please everyone.
So what's coming up with the music? You are here in Los Angeles, you're recording. How did that come to be? Are you excited?
I'm really excited. I was meant to come out a couple of months ago, and then things kind of happened, and there was a couple of mistakes that were made, so it got pushed back. So I'm here now. I can't really say who I'm working with, but there's some amazing people that I'm working with, so I'm really excited to do that. I think like I love working in London. I love the people that I work with, but I'm just excited to come out to LA and like work with people out here. I feel like music and film and TV here is like, it's where everything happens. So I feel like every day I woke up this morning, opened the blinds, grey sky, but I was still full of gratitude. I was like really happy to be here and just like excited for it. I feel like it was a dream. Like it was always what I dreamt. Like going to LA and working. I felt like Miley Cyrus, like, you know, like Party in the USA, where it's like
Hopped off the plane?
yeah, in LAX.
Are you working on an album or an EP? Like what's the vibe? What's coming out next?
So EP is coming out very soon. It's like the next week, next Friday, I think. My EP, or next week. So I don't know. When's this coming out?
It'll be next week.
Okay, so
we'll be great promo.
So yeah, that EP will be coming out then. Then we'll be going to second EP and album. So whatever is made here can be either on second EP or album. I feel like second EP is a lot different to my first EP. Mm-hmm. My first EP is it's dancey, it's clubby. It's very, very British in the sense of like my reference points I pulled a lot of the time were like people like the streets. Because I love that like juxtaposition of being super masculine sounding in a way to how I present. Like I love playing into that, and like my reference points always being like, I mean, it can be like Madonna, obviously, she's like my number one, but like Mike Skinner from the streets, he's like a proper like geezer from Birmingham, and like I just like that. So the first EP is a lot storytelling and like my experience then, but the second EP is a lot lighter in terms of like still political. There's politics in it. There's still topics that are kind of heated topics, but it's a lot more like disco vibes, a lot more lighter and a lot more fun. So yeah, I'm excited for people to hear some of that. So we'll see what happens with these sessions. I'm just putting it out into the universe, putting it out to Madonna, putting it out into Bowie, putting it out into all those people.
Where would you want your music career to be in 5 years?
I think I'd love to just be at a place where I'm going around and performing, no matter how big or small that is, as long as I get to be on stage and I'm there with my band, because I've got an incredible queer band who I perform with, and I'm getting to go around the country, go around Europe, go around the world performing. How big or small that is, as long as I'm getting to do that, that's where I want my career to be.
You said basically that 7-8 months ago you weren't in the right headspace. Mm-hmm. How did you get into the right headspace?
I had to take some time away. I had to really reflect on what was important, what I had been through. I started therapy, and I was going through therapy, which I'd never done before. And I was just speaking at this person and getting an understanding of what had happened and what I was going through. And I was very honest to them, and I spoke to them about everything. And I think it really did allow me to kind of think about what was important and what I wanted to achieve, and realised actually what people are saying that I thought were close to me or whatever, or what they've done to me is not always, and like I said, I wasn't probably perfect in all of those situations because they felt a certain way for a certain however, but I know in my truth that like I did everything I could. So I was able to come away from that and then be like, what I love, what I'm doing now and performing and making music is what I want to do, and that's what I love, and that's my passion, and at least I've got enough stuff to write about in an album.
You said music's your passion. Do you consider fashion your passion?
Got a passion for fashion.
Passion for fashion.
Yeah, I love it. Like, and I think they can intertwine. Like some of my greatest inspirations in music, people like Madonna and Bowie and Grace Jones, Gaga, people like that always used music and fashion together. Like they were that's what they did. They expressed themselves on stage via that. So I think that's why I love fashion and music, and I think they can come together for sure.
100%. And now that you said that, and you said like Madonna and stuff, now I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, Madonna had so many pivotal moments in fashion.
Yeah.
And it all incorporates like a performance as well.
She's someone to me, and I guess Bowie too as well, was like eras and like what they were going through at that time. And like David Bowie killed off Ziggy Stardust at the Hammersmith Apollo, which I performed at recently with Self-Esteem, which is amazing, just doing that on the stage. But they went through certain things, and when I look at them and their story, and I think about like life isn't easy for everyone. Like life has its ups and downs, but if you can go into those dark places and then come back out of those dark places, you can really bring some art from that, and you can bring kind of incredible moments and moments of like weakness and vulnerability, as well as like the uplifting and the positives. I think that's what makes great art and great. And it's sad to say, but like sometimes you have to go to those places to be able to create. So I think I'm excited to see what comes now that I'm like eyes on the prize, game on, smoke up my ass. But yeah.
Do you want to do more runways? Because I know you did London Fashion Week, right?
Yeah, I'd love to do more runways. I love going to the shows. But right now, obviously, I'm focusing a lot more on the music. So I think like we'll see what happens. But I want people to hear the music and people to get the music. And I'm getting to perform at Glastonbury.
That's exciting.
I was just thinking about times that this comes out, so I can actually say this. But yeah, I'll be performing at Glastonbury, and I've got some other big stages and big performances coming up this summer that I'm ready to like put everything into. And I'm just, yeah.
And what did you sell out last week?
So yeah, I did my first headline show in London, which was incredible, and it was so nice. My mum came, my mum and her friends. It was funny because we were backstage, and I basically got my mum a hotel in London, her and her two friends. And I put like a bottle of champagne in there for her for when she got there, and like she had a drink and she came to my show, and she'd obviously a bit pissed before she got there, and she came backstage while we were getting ready, and there was like my best mates and like my boyfriend and my band, and my mum knows everyone, and like she lives in like Norfolk, so every time she gets to come to London, she gets to have fun and like be free, and everyone loves her. She's a weapon. She's like 4'11", but she is amazing. But everyone's like, Heather, Heather, Heather. And she's like lapping it up. She even say hello to me. But like, she's going around everyone else. And I'm like going on stage in 10 minutes. So I'm like, right, mum, I'm about to go on. Like, hello. Nice to see you. But I love her. Like, she's like my best friend and she's always been so supportive. So I love seeing how much everyone loves her and her getting to, just seeing her little face like stood there while I'm performing on stage was just like everything to me.
Is her reaction like, do you still yearn for that? Like being, you know?
And she knows that like I do everything I do for me, but I do for her as well, because she's allowed me to get to this place. And like, I always want her to be proud. I think I always want my mum to be proud of me. And I think like, I'm very honest to her about everything. Like I'm very open. Like she knows things I've been through. Like we have that relationship where obviously she wants the best, so sometimes she can say things that annoy me, and I'm like, but that's just parents. But we're so close that I'm like, I always want to have that connection, and I think like nothing's off limits when it comes to our relationship and our what we tell each other.
Do you get a lot of who you are from your mom?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Like she's small and mighty, and so am I.
This show's called Exposed, as you may know. So I always have the girls expose something that happened on the show that they wish would have been seen on the cameras. Tace was talking about how she sprayed red blood spray in Lawrence's face. Do you have a moment that you wish would have been on camera?
I think, okay, yeah, episode 1, before I was about to go on stage, so I'm wearing obviously the Norwich City leotard, tiny outfit, and no underwear. I literally had no underwear on. I was tucked. I'd like tape all up my ass and everything. And there was a lovely, like one of the Queen handlers. So they were like the like producers on the show, but they would look after us basically. They were called the Queen handlers. A lovely woman called Wendy. And actually, someone tried to claim this for themselves when Wendy spoke about it on the show, but it was me, because Wendy messaged me afterwards, like, no, it was about you. I think it was Sminty. I love you, Sminty, but this story was me. Wendy hand-stitched my crotch together because I had these tiny little poppers, right? And I'm so glad that she did help me there, because I was trying to do it. And I was literally like, a stitch in time saved me, basically, because if I did all my legs spread and everything, those poppers would have gone boop, and I would have exposed myself on BBC. So those little bits of thread that Wendy stitched on my crotch saved my entire career.
I love that you call them, what, poppers?
Poppers, the little...
I literally was like, wait, she put poppers on you? And you're like...
No, they give me a headache, poppers. They give me a headache. Loose enough. It was, she basically just stitched the poppers together at my crotch so that it all held together. And I'm so glad that she did, because everything could have gone ski whiff.
And
So I
then
wish
you
they'd
would have
seen
went
that.
home.
I would have gone home, but they wouldn't have shown Wendy on the show. But I wish they had, because Wendy was. I don't know if anyone saw on season 4 when they had the Queen handlers come in to do the. They did the like the
makeover?
the makeover with, and Wendy was one of them, and everyone loved Wendy. It was like, hey, she does a great show. Wendy was phenomenal. I love Wendy, but yeah, she saved my ass that time. She saved not just my ass, quite a lot more as well.
A lot of popping.
A lot of popping.
Another fan question that we have is, I know that you have denounced that you are done with Drag Race. Would you ever go back on an All-Stars?
Denounced? What I've taken back. So I'd never ever said I was done with Drag Race. I said I was like exploring like my drag journey. I would never say never to Drag Race. I love Drag Race, and I feel like I have got to do what I wanted to do. But I also have that thing of like going backwards and going back to something that they didn't crown me in the first time. They had the chance. And they didn't. So I'm like, I'm not here to avenge my title. Like, I don't feel like I lost out by not winning. And I love Lawrence Chaney. And I think Lawrence is an incredible queen and performer and everything. And I love seeing what they're doing. They're out in Vegas now. Like, they're doing a damn thing. Like, it's incredible to see. So I'm like, I'm so proud of her and the whole season. So I don't feel like I need to go back to avenge myself. I don't need to go back for that at all. If I was to go back, it would be because I feel like I'm ready to, or I want to. So that's where I am with that. But I will say, like, my relationship with World of Wonder and Drag Race is fine. Like, there's no ill issues between us at all. Like, I'm going to be working with World of Wonder very, very soon, which you'll all see, which I won't say now, but keep your eyes peeled, because it might not be Drag Race All-Stars, but we're going to be doing something very soon.
So as we're closing all this out, Bimini, I would love to know, what do you believe the biggest misconception of you is?
I think maybe the Drag Race stuff. Like, I think people had a big misconception about Drag Race. And also, I've seen stuff online about me being a bitch or, like, being really rude to staff and things, which is just not true.
I saw you talked about that on your Twitter, right?
On Twitter, yeah. Someone had, like, sent it to me as a DM, and I was like, I don't know where people are getting off saying that, because that's not true. But I don't know. I feel like people are always going to make up stories about you. So if they do, then that's fine. Keep talking about me. Keep my name in your mouth, innit? But I don't know, misconceptions. I guess a lot of them are with Drag Race, and I'm done with Drag Race, and I'm done with drag, and I hate World of Wonder. That's not true at all. I've just realised how pink my knees are. It looks like I've been having a good night, but I was in bed by 9. But yeah, misconceptions. I don't know. I think like that I feel like I'm over it or whatever, which isn't true at all. I think I just struggled a lot the last couple of years, and I was in a really dark place. So it might have come across that I was like not giving my all, but I wasn't even giving it to myself. So I think I couldn't give it to everyone.
My last question for you is, what is a piece of wisdom or words of wisdom that you have for our beautiful LGBTQIA plus community?
I think we're in a time right now that might seem hopeless, and you might feel helpless, you might feel, but know that life goes in peaks and troughs, life goes in ups and downs. We're going to ride this wave, stick together, be kind to each other, and know that we'll come out of it stronger, better, hotter, sexier than ever before. And you just got to stick to that and know yourself and know the people around you. And I think like they might try and bring us down now, but we'll fight back. And they can take away spaces, they can try to take away performing, they can try and take away clubs, but time will heal and we will move past that. And don't allow what's happening right now in society reflect your decisions and who you are now. Fight against it, stay true to you, and know that we will come out stronger.
Yeah. I love that. And also, don't change yourself for anybody else.
No.
No need to.
No, definitely not. It could be hard as well. Like, I know it could be difficult. People will always have something to say, but as long as you stay true to you, like, then be kind to yourself about it, and know that your truth is valid and you're not doing anything wrong. Fuck what anyone else thinks.
Fuck what anyone else thinks. I love that. I love the way that's how this is going to end. Bimini, where can everybody find you on the socials?
At Bimini Babes on basically everything. So Twitter, TikTok. I never use Twitter, but TikTok, Insta, Bimini Babes.
Bimini Babes. And your EP's coming out?
EP's coming out this week.
Yes. So this will come out on Wednesday. So it'll be on Friday, right?
Yeah. So the EP will be coming up Friday. It's called When the Party Ends. I hope you love it. And go stream it. There should be 4 new tracks as well as 2 that were already out.
Are you doing visuals for it too?
Yeah, visual will be coming with it, and we did a shoot last week with some really cool visuals. So yeah, buzzing.
Exciting. Well, thank you so much, Bimini, for being here and chatting with me on Expo.
Thank you for exposing me.
Of course, you exposed yourself quite a few times today. Hey.
Well, I'm glad I didn't flash. Woo.
Until next time, I'm Joseph Shepard. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and all of that good stuff. Go follow Bimini. And be sure to leave your favorite part down below in the comments section. Let us know what you loved. And go stream Rodeo and tell me that I'm right because it's so amazing. Until next time, I'm Joseph Shepard, and that's Bimini. Bye.
Cheers.